Okay. And we're recording. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for coming tonight to present another wonderful program.
Thank you. So excited to be back. Do you want me to just take it away? Okay. So, hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Montanaro. It is my pleasure to be here, and I want to thank the Tuckahoe Public Library for hosting me for this author talk, writing talk, reader talk, community talk. This is writing about family secrets, and I call this drama, discovery, and mystery. So, I'm going to go ahead and share my slides, and then we will jump in. And you can also have a copy of this. I'll give you a URL that you can go to and get a PDF of this. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you would like to look at a handout, which is a PDF of these slides, you can go to tinyurl.com/Tuckahoe Library Family Secrets. So all one word. So tinyurl.com/Tuckahoe Library Family Secrets. And that should work and get you there. And if not, then Miriam and I will make sure to get you a link to that at some point. So, a little roadmap of what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to talk about what reasons why someone might write about family secrets, a little self reflection exercise for all of us, some examples of family secrets in literature, all types of literature, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and in film and television. The broad application of secrets beyond the family unit. So, if you are writing about family secrets in particular, great. But if you're writing about a secret that doesn't happen in a family, don't hang up. Don't leave us, because everything that we talk about tonight about family secrets can be applied to any type of secret in a type of writing. And so this will have a little more broad application beyond the family. Plus, we're going to broadly define family itself. So it could be a found family, could be a group of people that's banded together, etc. And then we will also discuss how family secret shows up specifically with writing craft elements such as structure, pacing, voice, trying to think what else, character development, and more. So we will definitely go ahead and have a really good time together. I want to start with a quote by George Orwell, which says, "If you must keep a secret, you also must hide it from yourself." And what I like about that secret is it sets up the internal psychological craft element, showing how a character struggles with and is shaped by their secret, even sometimes, most of the time, hiding it from themselves. Like they haven't reckoned with it yet, and therefore they don't feel comfortable sharing it with everyone else yet. Writing secrets with family permission or not, we will get to that for sure. Usually, people are writing family secrets without family permission, and if they're doing that, they're often turning it into fiction. So, if you missed the talk that I did for Tuckahoe Public Library last month, you can go ahead to go to the YouTube channel and put in Tuckahoe Public Library Turning Fact into Fiction, Lisa Montanaro. And we talked a lot about that topic about like how do you write about factual elements of your life and your family, for example. Um, if your family doesn't give permission, and a lot of times what people do is they fictionalize it and they change a lot of things, including names, places, locations, time frame, etc. But yeah, a lot of these secrets people write about, they wind up covering it in some type of fiction where they change enough where people don't know who the family secret is about. But yet others do it as memoir, personal essay, etc. So the good news is that family secrets provide rich source material for storytelling. It Think about when we look at some of these, you'll see, think about how many things include family secrets in particular. And there are a few that we'll cover that tend to show up in a lot of different pieces of literature. Writers often have personal experiences with family secrets, and that can inform their writing, of course. So many of you may have your own family secrets, either revealed or you haven't revealed them yet. You might be revealing them at some point through your writing. We can also talk about the breaking down of the craft elements to give you practical tools to use in your own work. So even though we're talking about some of these craft elements vis-a-vis family secrets, you can use these craft elements, of course, even if you're not writing about a secret. And so again, think about all of this content applies regardless of Which secret? So think about the personal experiences you have with not only your own family secrets, but with other people's family secrets that you've heard of in life, in the news, for example. And you can also make up family secrets. Some of the best books out there are made up family secrets. They're not even true. So, a little bit about me. I'm a native New Yorker now living in beautiful Northern California, but I'm from Westchester County originally. I was born in New Rochelle, near Tuckahoe, grew up in Harrison. And so I'm definitely a Westchester County person, and I'm thrilled to be doing this with a home base library in Westchester. And now I'm a published nonfiction author and novelist, which is wonderful. So years ago, I had published nonfiction, but as of 2025, as you'll see, I now have a novel out in the world. It's called Everything We Thought Was True, and it released in January last year by Red Adept. And I'm very fortunate that it's available in print, ebook, and audiobook. So if any of you are interested in it, you can get it at the library. You can get it at bookstores. Please go indie if you decide on a bookstore. And you can also listen to the audiobook, which is wonderful. The narrator did a good job. I'm very grateful that it's won multiple awards and it's been recognized. I do serve as a webinar host for a writers association, which I love because often I have presenters like we're doing tonight when I'm not grabbing the mic myself, and I get a front row seat to all this great professional development. And I love to present for writer organizations, libraries, podcasts, etc. And then I get the pleasure of being a writing coach for a lot of people, which is a lot of fun. So why do we write about family secrets? Well, first of all, there's a universality to family secrets. Show me a family that says they don't have a family secret, and I'll say they either don't know it yet, it hasn't been revealed yet, someone's still holding on to it, or they know about it, but they haven't revealed it publicly yet. So it's very rare to find a family that doesn't have some family secret, however big or small it is. And family secrets also act as an emotional and thematic core to a lot of literature, television, and film, for example. So they tend to often be like the actual core of the story itself. Everything's unraveling and shaping around, orbiting, I should say, around the secret. They also serve as foundation for great character arcs, great growth and transformation, both for the secret keeper and the people around the person that carries the secret. So all the other characters also. And they provide great multiple narrative purposes. So if you're writing fiction, for example, and you have a multiple point of view piece of work that you're working on, we want to hear from often more than just the person that has a secret or the person that's being kept from the secret. So if you like multiple point of view, secrets work really well for that. Secrets also create all this natural built-in tension. So we're sitting there, we're reading or we're watching and we're thinking, okay, when is this secret going to be revealed? How is it going to be revealed? To whom, etc., how, etc. And then some people write about family secrets for themselves because it's very therapeutic. It's very healing for many people to write about family secrets. There is a psychoanalyst named Christopher Bollas. It's Bollas, and I believe Christopher is without an H. So I think it's Criss. And he's done a lot of research on secrets in particular, and he has a phrase which a lot of people find very strange called the unthought known. So this refers to that feeling in our gut when we have a feeling that something's going on, that not everything's been revealed. Perhaps something's lingering under the surface. Perhaps there is a secret in our relationship or family, but we can't reckon with it because it feels too scary or dangerous. So it's something we may know on some level, but we can't easily access or touch. So that's the unthought known. That makes for great stories. It makes for great writing. So when you think about some of the works that we're going to do, some of the examples we're going to cover, somebody, for example, just read the short story collection by Lily King, who is the author of Writers and Lovers, great book. And her short story collection is called Five Tuesdays in Winter. And there's a story in there called When in the Dordogne, named after the Dordogne in France. And it has great examples of unspoken secrets that are unthought knowns to the characters. They all kind of have a feeling something's going on. They're a little suspicious, they're a little unsure, but it hasn't been revealed yet until it is revealed, right? So some of the best literature is about deception. because secrets often can't be hidden forever, at least not in great books. And so the reveal of those secrets makes for a great narrative arc. By the way, any other reasons why you might write about family secrets that we didn't cover here? Go ahead and pop it in the chat or unmute yourself if there's another reason you could think of why you or someone else might write about family secrets that we didn't cover. And if you think of it a little later, you can put it in then, or you can raise your hand. Oh, and I hear someone typing. Juicy, juicy. Come on. So as I mentioned, we're going to look at family secrets, but we're going to go beyond what we call a typical family unit. So the drama, discovery, mystery apply to all types of secrets. Everything in this presentation can be used for any type of secret, not just a biological family unit. So think of secrets among close friends, among characters that create this sort of found family. And I did see someone said, what about things that have been passed down for generations, immigrant stories from relatives? That's an interesting one because is it truly a secret or is it family folklore, right? So there's lots of stories that families pass down, and it may be a secret to the outside world in the sense that it hasn't been revealed, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily a secret. It's just something that we can't possibly know everything about everyone. But if the family isn't holding it back, if the family is actively telling people when someone will listen, actively passing down these stories, I'd say those are more family stories as opposed to family secrets. So I might differentiate those a little bit. But I guarantee you that there are many families that have stories that are passed down from generations that are secrets and that have ripple effects. There's also something out there called epigenetic trauma. There's a great book. It's funny, I don't have this in the slide deck, but you just reminded me of it with your question. It's called The Many Daughters of A. Fong Moy, and it is written by the fabulous author Jamie Ford. And he's also the author of a book called The Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet. Great title, by the way. But The Many Daughters of A. Fong Moy deals with the sort of epigenetic trauma that can be passed down from generation to generation. Like, do we hold on to trauma of one of our ancestors who had to hold on to a deep, dark secret? And you can read the book to find out. But it's a pretty cool book because it deals with one of the first women that was brought over to America, to the United States from China, and a series of her ancestors, which is kind of neat. So family secrets abound everywhere in media. So literature, film, television. We will look at some examples in a few minutes, and I will ask you to share more examples. And then there's, of course, real life inspiration. And when I use the term real life inspiration, I kind of mean your inspiration. So we're going to do a self-reflection exercise. But as I read my own slide here, real life inspiration could be things people told you, friends, neighbors, family, things you've heard of. And also, right now, we're dealing with a lot of DNA testing, as you know. So, we're seeing a ton of stories come out where people are finding out that they have family members that they never even knew of in the past. We're seeing that come out in Ancestry and 23andMe. There's a very famous book by Dani Shapiro called Inheritance, which is a memoir all about how she found out her father, who she thought was her biological father was not. And so we're seeing a lot of real life examples of family secret. But whether it's Jane Austen, contemporary thrillers, Disney movies, prestige television dramas, family secrets show up a lot. So let's start with doing a self-reflection exercise. First question is, do you personally have a family secret? You don't have to say it if you don't feel comfortable. So you don't have to share your secret. Or even whether you have one, only if you want to. But if you do, think about, have you revealed it to the world? You could keep this to yourself. Why or why not? Do you have a family secret in one of your manuscripts, stories, or essays, whatever work that you're working on now, creative nonfiction or fiction, for example? What is the secret that you've put in your writing, and is it real or did you imagine it? Did you make it up? What drew you to that secret as source material to write about, to unpack, to unravel what made it feel important to explore why that particular secret, and how has learning about or keeping family secrets shaped your understanding of family dynamics. So I'll give you a moment to go ahead and work on that self-assessment exercise. If you'd like to share, please feel free to either put it in the chat or unmute yourself. Both work well. Someone said, I'm not a writer, but this is giving me food for thought. Good. Food for thought for maybe future writing, but also as a discerning reader and as a discerning watcher, someone that, digests stories. They're all around you. Yeah. You're reading them in books, short stories, you're watching them on television, etc. Someone shared the fiction I'm working on now has a big secret. Okay. Define big. It's something juicy. I love it. So, for example, is the secret something that the secret keeper is keeping hidden out of love, respect, loyalty, or fear of social stigma, fear of retribution? Does keeping it hidden harm them or someone else? So, yeah, lots of good stuff there.
Do you want a response to that or
If you feel comfortable.
well, the what this particular character is being done out of love, but she's also making life more stressful for herself because she doesn't share it with anybody, but she's acting on it.
Okay.
I don't know if
Thank
it
you.
makes any sense, but
It does. Yeah, because she's keeping it out of what she feels is love. I assume self-love, love for others. There's that sort of wanting to protect the people that you love and you care about. But oftentimes when we do that, as Carl Jung said, secrets are psychic poison, and they actually do more harm when they are not exposed to the light. And that's why they make for great fiction and great movies, etc. Um, and that's what makes them really compelling to write about. Someone said, I thought I had a family secret, but now I'm thinking it's more of a story. Although the truth was fudged for me when I was younger, so I don't know what we can consider it, since the rest of the family seem to already know. What I love about that example, Faith, is it seems like it was a secret to you, or there was some stigmatization around it where you thought it was supposed to be a secret, or you thought you weren't fully in the loop. And so all of those actually make it a little more on the secret side than on the completely everyone knew and everyone was, even if there was a tiny bit of, wait, you knew it? Why didn't I know it? Or why didn't I know what I thought I knew? So I actually find that a good example, even though you're not sure what to call it, it's still something that has some weight to it. It's not as light, that fact, as it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the rated G version of The Secret because
Oh, there you go.
I was in eighth grade when I was researching a family member, and they told me one reason he got kicked out of Greece was because of this. And then there wasn't a really rated G version when I found out when I was older.
So they were protecting you and they were deciding how much of that secret they should reveal. They breadcrumbed it. That's what we call that. They dropped a breadcrumb. They told you the big thing, which was this person was kicked out of, did you say Greece? The country? Yeah, that's pretty big. This person was kicked out of Greece, the country, not like, preschool or,
Yeah,
but
he was doing something he shouldn't in the army and he didn't want to get in trouble, so he had to leave Greece.
there you go. So there's probably some either family shame around that, or it had to be age appropriate of when to tell little ones and bring them in. Like, here's the real deal. We only told you this much, but we peeled back the layers of the onion, and the secret is deeper and darker than we originally told you. Yeah, kind of like that one. Elaine asked, how do you write about a secret without feeling like you're betraying a confidence? Yeah, so if the secret is not yours to tell, if it is someone else's, then I highly recommend a few different things. One is, can you cover the secret in enough hot fudge that no one will know exactly which sundae you're serving? So, in other words, can you change it? Sorry, I had ice cream last night, right? Can you change it enough that you're not actually sort of outing a family secret about someone else? Like, it shouldn't have so much specificity that someone's like, this is the Jones family in Tuckahoe in the 1960s. Exactly, right? That probably would not feel comfortable to you, but could you take an element of the secret and I will give you some examples in a few minutes. And could you categorize the secret as it falls under this category? So some categories are parent reveals, for example. We'll see a lot of parent reveals in literature, film, and television. We will see a lot of closeted LGBTQ community members, which is what my book deals with. My book is about an Italian American, Italian Catholic family from the late 1960s to the 1990s, hiding the fact that the patriarch of the family is a closeted gay man at a time when there were no protections, legal or otherwise, and the family hiding it from themselves, the husband hiding it from his wife, from his children. And then when does each family member learn this? When does society learn it? How does everyone deal with it? By the way, that is not a spoiler. It is on the back cover. And I chose, my publisher and I chose that on purpose. It was very intentional because my book is about how the secret corrodes this family from within and how it affects their relationship with themselves and with society and what it's like for society to cause people to have internalized shame. And so a lot of times you'll see that the secret is revealed up front. One of my favorite books is by Celeste Ng, which is called Mine is Everything We Thought Was True, Hers is Everything I Never Told You. And it is about a family whose daughter is already passed away. She's dead. And the first sentence is, Lydia is dead. They just don't know it yet. So you know it. You're the reader. So the author has handed you the secret and you're like, wow, I have it before them. And now what you get to do is watch how the secret unfolds with all the characters in the story. So to get back to your question, how do you write about a secret without feeling like you're betraying good confidence? First of all, if the person's alive, I would ask them, like, I'm really thinking of exploring this secret in my material, personal essay or creative nonfiction memoir. You're going to be truthful about this. So you probably want to check with the person first and say, hey, how do you feel about this? Then if they feel comfortable with it, you can go ahead and write about it if you feel comfortable also. But if not, then what I would do is cover it up enough where it doesn't smell and taste exactly like that particular secret, but you're using elements of it. Someone said, in my family, we refer to the sporadical revealed breadcrumbs as lore. Yes, as in, did you hear the grandpa drug arrest lore? Okay, that's pretty funny. And all families have these, and they're a little bit secretive because you're not sort of putting them on the cover of the New York Times, right? But they do become wonderful family history to talk about. Now, if someone wanted to write about that, then would they go back to every family member and ask, "Can I write about this?" Maybe, maybe not. And someone said, "Wow, isn't it telling you piqued my interest in your book?" Oh, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it. So before I give you a bunch of slides with my examples, my prompt for you is, can you think of examples of family secrets in books, short stories, memoirs, any types of books, any type of writing, I should say, and then movies or television? And what are those books, television, movies that have secrets? What made them compelling, etc. And then I'll show you a bunch of examples that I have. So can anyone think of a good book, movie, or television show that has family secrets at the core? And by the way, there are some authors who have created an entire canon of writing about family secrets at the core. Barbara Kingsolver almost always has a family secret at the core of her books. Anne Patchett has admitted that her entire brand is throwing together a group of people who become found family, and there's a big secret involved. Leanne Moriarty, most of her books are about secrets. Jodi Picoult has a lot of books about secrets, and Elizabeth Strout has a lot of family secrets: poverty, assault, mental illness, suicide, PTSD, etc. Remarkably Bright Creatures. That's a great recent example. And what I like about that is we don't tend to think of that as a book about family secrets. And yet, without me giving away a big reveal, because in that book, you do not know it on the back cover, that is a reveal. And it is revealed in a beautiful way. And so that one, you think it's about a wonderful, quirky character who works at a maritime center as a cleaner, and you think it's really about her life and her relationship with the octopus, Marcellus, who's phenomenal, and a young man that starts working there. And then you learn a lot in backstory, which is well done. And that one has multiple POV. So you have the female character, and then you have Cameron, the younger male character. So yeah, that's a good example. And by the way, it's very rare that I say that a film adaptation is really good, but that one is really good. That one with Sally Field captured the book nicely. Yeah. The TV series from many years ago, The Thornbirds. Is that the one with the priest? Am I thinking of the right one? Oh, yes, yes, that's a great example. Yes. I think I watched that with my mom all those years ago. That was quite a big secret. Someone brought up an old movie recently, and I could not believe I didn't think of it myself. Sophie's Choice. Sophie's Choice was quite a secret. Talk about a secret that was stigmatized, where she didn't feel comfortable revealing it because she would be judged because it was an ethical dilemma. So if you haven't ever seen or heard of Sophie's Choice, I would go back and take a look at that one. So I will give you a whole bunch of family secrets in a minute in literature and television media. But before that, I want to drive home that these come in every shape and type of writing. So we see personal essays with family secrets. You're probably familiar with the Modern Love series from the New York Times. Many of those have secrets. Not always, but they do. Memoir is rich for family secrets. Family drama, like my book is family drama and LGBTQ fiction, multi-generational fiction. As someone said, funnily enough, I think Pushing Daisies qualifies. Okay, I liked that show. Let me just think. That show was steeped in family secrets made more complicated by many of the secret keepers coming back from the dead. Yes, I don't think I would have thought of that. That's a really good one to add. I might actually add that to the slide deck because that was such a good show. If you're not familiar with it, those of you that haven't seen Pushing Daisies, the premise was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Giovanna, or I can't remember who said that, maybe Elaine, but I think that it was speculative, meaning that the main character was the only one that could, I think, either see or hear or experience dead people, but he couldn't touch them or something like that. It was a very
He,
interesting,
okay. He could touch corpses and bring them back from the dead.
that was it. It was so
And
cool.
if they were alive for longer, if he let it go on for longer than 60 seconds, then an equivalent life would be snuffed out.
Oh, that was it. It was, again, talk about an ethical dilemma. Thanks,
Mhm.
Miriam. Uh, that was a great show. And yes, every time they came back, what did they want to talk about? The secrets, right? Yeah. So family secrets do show up in mystery. They show up in psychological thriller. People go, I don't don't see any mysteries or thrillers with secrets. They're there. A lot of them are there. Domestic suspense, fantasies have secrets, science fiction. We'll talk in about 2 or 3 slides about one of the best examples of family secrets in the world being in sci-fi. Speculative fiction, which we just talked about with Pushing Daisies, also the book The Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman is speculative fiction. It deals with a family of witches and they're in hiding. It's secretive that they have these beautiful powers. And when I say other, I honestly can't think of a genre that doesn't have family secrets. Even horror. Like if you look at something like Carrie by the great Stephen King, even Carrie has a family secret, which is that her home life is so tough with a mother that is abusive. So I honestly can't think of a genre of writing, of reading, of watching that doesn't include family secrets. I mean, it
I
might be
think
out
horror actually particularly revolves around them because so many of the monsters are either literally or metaphorically the family secrets
coming
coming to,
to life.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense when you think about it. It's like, how do we get this physical manifestation or not only metaphorical, but sometimes they're even supernatural, you know? Yeah, it's cool. So, when you are an author and you're getting ready to either pitch your novel to get a publisher or to market it to the world, you have to get what are called comps, which are comparable titles. And those are for an agent, publisher, readers, so that everyone knows, like, what is this book like? Like, what does it feel like, smell like, taste like, etc. The good news about doing that is it helps you read widely within your own genre and get to know the genre well. And because my book is about a family secret, I used comps, comparable titles that also have family secrets. And these are some of the best out there, in my opinion. The book, This Is How It Always Is by Lori Frankel, is about a trans child in a family that's revealed upfront. Again, you know that going in. And Lori is wonderful. I've been on Zoom with her before, talked to her before, and she's just a fantastic writer. And that book is a highly fictionalized version of her own family story. Then we have Sierra Godfrey's wonderful book, A Very Typical Family, that's about a family member in prison, and it is revealed by the main character. And she carries a lot of internalized shame of having a family member that is in jail. Everything I Never Told You, I brought up earlier by Celeste Ng. It is a murder of a family member revealed in the first line, and we want to know why, how, who, etc. Commonwealth by Ann Patchett is a family tragedy revealed at the end. So we do not know that family secret going in. By the way, that is her most autobiographical novel, Ann Patchett, even though it's fiction, it is more autofiction than her others. And then We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang is an Irish American family with a deep family secret about a crime, and that is also revealed at the end. So you'll see that some of these books, the secret's revealed up front, some of them revealed at the end. Secrets can be revealed in the middle. It doesn't really matter where, but they all orbit around a very deep family secret. I personally always find it interesting when the reader knows the secret before the not in the know characters. So hiding the secret becomes a dance that the readers watch. I think that's very compelling. But there are many readers that are like, wait, I know the secret? Well, then why am I going to keep reading? And usually you're going to keep reading for character development and for what happens to people once the secret is revealed and who gets to know first, etc. But there are some people that really love the big reveal. They want like the big bang going on later on, you know. So, other books, Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. If you've read the book or watched the TV show based on it, there are multiple family secrets in there involving domestic violence, paternity, murder, and past trauma, and they all culminate in this very shocking finale. What's fascinating about Big Little Lies is how many point of view characters there are. I think on last count, I think there are 9. And it's because the structural framework, the scaffolding that she uses, is an interview. So it's supposed to be, it is, pardon me, someone interviewing all these people after the murder has taken place, after the death, I should say, takes place. And they're all telling the story retroactively. And so you're getting little snippets, again, breadcrumbed throughout. Inheritance by Dani Shapiro, I brought up earlier. She is a memoirist, novelist, and essayist, and a great writing teacher who lives in Connecticut, actually. And Inheritance is her book all about how she found out that her father, who she thought was her father, he was her father. She still says that in terms of he brought her up. He's who she always thought of and loved as her father, but he's not her biological father. And that was done through DNA. Educated by Tara Westover, another memoir. Big Little Lies, by the way, is a fiction, is a novel. Inheritance and Educated are memoirs. Educated by Tara Westover deals with a person, not a character because she's real, who left her family, who were Mormons, and I believe in Utah. But if it's a different state, I apologize. But there's also abuse in there, and what's interesting about the abuse in there is typically the abuse is parent abuse. In that book, it's sibling abuse, which isn't shown as much in writing, in fiction and nonfiction. Other books that I don't think they made their way in here. Oh, they're coming up in a minute or two. Okay, TV shows, This Is Us. If you've never seen This Is Us, it is just the quintessential family secret show. Okay, and you know everything up front. Jack is going to die. You know that. Like within the first episode, you know he's going to die. You just don't know how and when. The Americans is about a family that are double agents. They are living in the United States of America, but they are Russian spies. And that one is cool because you know it as the watcher, the family knows it, but no one else does. Lots of other examples there. And then the films, like think about some of these films here. You got Mamma Mia, which seems like this fun-loving, musical, which it is, but it's all about who is her father? Who is her real father? That's the secret of there. Knives Out, again, it's a murder mystery, but there's a deep family secret in there. Ordinary People, ooh, that movie will will kill you. It is so dramatic and serious. It's an old movie with Timothy Hutton. Trying to think who else is in there. The Jane Fonda. And I'm missing. Is it Robert Redford? No, can't
Donald
remember.
Sutherland, I think, and Mary Tyler was Mary Tyler Moore?
Donald Sutherland. Was it Mary Tyler Moore? You're right.
I
Mary
think
Tyler
so.
Moore. Yes. Not Jane Fonda. I'm confusing them. That
Yeah.
is such a phenomenal movie, but when you're done, you're like, wow, that was a lot. I'm not sure if I could ever see that again because it's beautifully acted, but quite painful. Yeah. And then we have Luke. I am your father. I mean, there's your science fiction, right? Darth Vader. That is the big reveal in the Star Wars franchise. It is the quintessential cinematic reveal. And it's, the most iconic family secret moment in cinema history, according to many, many people. And it is the perfect example of how a family secret can completely reframe everything the audience and the character thought they knew about the story. So in that, there is a personal shock. Luke is like, what? We're all like, what? There's a plot twist. Aha, the evil Lord is actually your father. And by the way, Princess Leia is your sister. So stop wanting to get a date with her and stop being jealous of the Han Solo character and let him have her. There's emotional complexity. And then it resonates on a mythic level, this whole father-son dynamic. And the mythic resonance is also this classic theme of destiny and the sins of previous generations. What does it mean to come from evil? Does this mean you're destined for evil, or can you overcome it and be good? Someone said, I love and miss the show This Is Us so much. Their secrets kept me on the edge of my seat. I agree. That was fantastic writing mixed in with fantastic acting. It's one of the best shows I think has ever been done on television. And I probably will watch it again someday. Yeah. There are more parent reveals. So you'll see this whole concept of the truth of a child's parentage is a common juicy secret in literature, movies, and television. So Harry Potter, the gradual revelation of his parents' true story and their sacrifice. Back to the Future, remember Marty reliving his own parents' past, which is kind of cool. The Lion King, we have Simba's secret about his role in his father's death. Guardians of the Galaxy, Peter Quill discovering that his father not quite who he's cracked up to be. And then Thor learning about his parents. And by the way, many of these, as you look, Testimony season one, someone said, had a parent reveal at the end. I have not seen that, so thank you for letting me know. Many of these are father-child reveals, and here is some mother-daughter. So wonderful book, The Joy Luck Club. Remember that? Amy Tan. And what I loved about that book is it was multiple mother-daughter pairs. Each one of them had a secret about their past in China and their true identities. So that's also a great example that someone brought up earlier of immigrant stories, of what it's like to pass down family lore, what people choose to tell and not tell. The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. The character Lily discovers the truth about her mother's past and her death. It's a beautiful coming of age story, beautiful book. The Nightingale, which is World War II historical fiction by Kristen Hanna. And the secrets there are between sisters and mothers, and they span the war. And then we have Practical Magic, secrets passed down through generations of women in a magical family. So these are examples of mother-daughter secrets. There are, of course, more out there. Can you think of any other mother-daughter or father-son or father-daughter, like any other parent reveals? I'm curious. Feel free to mention them. It's always fun because, there's lots out there. We may be missing some. So if you have a secret, anyone writing about a secret right now? And if so, what are you writing? Is it an essay? Is it just journaling right now and you haven't quite figured out what genre it is? Is it fiction? Is it a memoir? Okay, let's see. Spoilers for Pushing Daisies again. Yeah, I've got it on my list, I promise, Miriam. It's because I loved that show and I love that actor. Yeah, it's a good one.
Testimony is a mother-daughter reveal at the end.
Okay, good. I'm gonna add that too. That's a mother-daughter. Yeah.
And I am writing about a big secret in fiction. And my concern is that somebody might think it's real. They might think, because there are elements that I pull from my life about around it, but the secret itself is fiction. Do you ever worry about that?
I was just gonna say, what would be so bad if people think it's real? They would maybe ask you in an interview and you would say, there are elements that I pulled from and drew from as inspiration, but the secret was completely made up, came out of my imagination. Or you could put it in your author's note.
Hmm.
Yeah, which would help. Yeah.
Good idea. Good idea.
And I would say maybe it's okay because I talked about this the last time I did a presentation, the one on turning fact into fiction. Readers are a little obsessed with trying to figure out what's fact and what's fiction in fiction. Like they really are. And it's almost like a game. They always try to layer on some autobiographical elements. And, and it's kind of funny because a lot of fiction writers just completely make it up. But many of us also draw upon little parts, and the parts that are real often seem unbelievable to readers, and the parts that I've made up, they think are real. So it's like you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't in a fun way. But if you're concerned about that, you could say something like, well, I drew upon aspects of my real life, as all authors do, locations, character composites, the secret that was revealed in this book, vis-a-vis, whatever it is, came from drew from my imagination. Yeah. So you could always do that. And by the way, it's interesting, author's notes years ago would often be at the beginning of a book, and that trend has changed over the years, and author's notes are often at the end, which many of us like because we want to then deconstruct the book for you and talk about, what went into the research and what was true and what wasn't. And so we kind of don't want to do that up front, but I've seen some authors recently who will do a very short note up front if they just kind of want you to know something going in, and then they'll do a longer note, like in their acknowledgments or in the back. Yeah, which is interesting. I just read a book, and I apologize, I can't remember the author's name. It's a beautiful book, Southern fiction, and it dealt with a rape. It dealt with a rape, and she wanted people to know there was going to be a rape going into the book, and that the rape was not based on a true story, not something that happened to her or someone she knew, but happened to the character. And that, she wanted us to protect ourselves as readers. And if it was uncomfortable, to skip past it. And that the book wasn't about the rape. The book is about the child that came from the rape. And so I thought it was very, very interesting and very well done, the way she sort of gave us a small author's note up front. Yeah. So let's look at how secrets affect writing craft. Whether you're writing yourself or you're reading other people's writings, it is fascinating to see how secrets play into this. Character development. So think about some of your favorite books, some of your favorite movies and television shows, essays, and there's this character. And whether the character is fact or fiction, because even in fact, even in memoir or personal essay, you're still writing about a character. And so usually secrets will shape how characters see themselves and their place in the world. So the revelation of a secret can shatter or reconstruct or reframe the character's entire sense of self. I'll give you an example. There was a book years ago called Passing, which they made into a movie. There's also the book The Vanishing Half. The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and both of them deal with a character who's passing, who's Black, who's passing as white. And that taps into something called code switching, which many characters from marginalized communities often have to do to sort of hide their identity. Also, Pachinko. I think the book Pachinko, which is historical fiction, is about a character passing as Japanese who's really Korean, I believe. I apologize if I flipped that. So, this concept of identity formation, we see in a lot of fiction where the identity of the character has to be hidden. And yet, does it seep through? Of course it does, because it's who they truly are deep down. My book, Frank Antinori, is a gay man who's hiding and passing as heterosexual. And so whenever we see a character that is hiding their own secret, it forms their identity and it makes them code switch. They have to act one way to the world, and then they can act a different way when they're alone or when they're with people that know their secret. So we've used the term over the years safe space. That comes from Amy Edmondson. She's a psychologist, and it started in the workplace. A psychologically safe space for your team, for the people you work with, is what she was referring to. And we've now branched it out in a good way to provide a safe space for people so they know that you are an inclusive, welcoming person that will help them feel belonging, which is something we all want. And we see this in books too. So there's also this misbelief connection. This comes from a great book by Lisa Cron, C-R-O-N, called Story Genius: How to Use Brain Science to Write a Riveting Novel. It's a great book. And characters have a misbelief about themselves. So they may have a lot of internalized shame or unprocessed grief and trauma. Maybe they have a family member with mental health issues or alcoholism or addiction, or someone abused them in their life. And so their misbelief is, if people know this about me, I won't be lovable. They will not accept me if I reveal the secret. So that misbelief connection of their secret makes them carry the secret longer and not reveal it. And so we see this often, again, in stories. The secret can also be a catalyst for their own change or growth. We often see a growth arc to a character when they're starting to reveal the secret to people and decide who they can trust. It affects relationship dynamics. They reveal a secret, someone does not accept them. How does that affect their relationship with that person? Can they fully ever trust them again if the person won't accept them for their secret? I'm going to skip the secret as antagonist and get back to it because it's really good. Unlikable characters. So this kind of annoys me a little bit. We see this more with female characters than we do with men. So we see a lot of female characters who are holding on to a secret, and they are being accused by readers of being, well, I don't like her, she's unlikable. But yet, we've got Lord Voldemort, we've got Darth Vader. We've got all these very unlikable characters out there who are men or creatures. And it seems like readers and watchers can often forgive them. Someone said, for example, in the book, The Queen's Gambit, which was also turned into a television series, great book, by the way. They said, oh, I don't like the female character, the main master chess player. She's a bit unlikable. I'm like, my God, do you know what she went through? Did you not read the book growing up in the orphanage? And so be careful, because we'll see this out there. So if you read a review and it says, oh, I don't know, I just didn't like the protagonist, or just scratch under that scab a little, because sometimes it's because the protagonist has to wear armor in the world to carry her secret. And if we just kind of go along for the ride, we see their growth and their transformation, and they become more, quote, likable. And also, that's not every character needs to be likable. In fact, some of my favorite characters are unlikable. Yeah. And The Secret as antagonist, the reason I wanted to go back to that is I personally love this in books, movies, television, when the person isn't bad in and of themselves, but the secret is the antagonist. So we have a protagonist, like in a book or a novel or a short story, and then we have an antagonist. And we always think the antagonist has to be a person. In books about secrets, especially family secrets, the antagonist is often this, pardon me, the secret is often the antagonist, not the person carrying it. So an example, like in my book, Frank Antinori is not the antagonist. He is not a villain. He is not a demon. He is a man trying to be himself in a world that wouldn't accept him. So the antagonist is the secret, not the person. So think about that also as you read some of these books and novels and short stories. That sometimes we tend to think like, this is the bad guy, but there is no bad person. It's just the secret is bad. Society is bad sometimes because they don't let us they don't let us reveal our secrets openly. One other thing is if you read historical fiction a lot, so if any of you out there love historical fiction, we sometimes see historical fiction and it will have certain things about secrets or people in the past that today we go, huh? That doesn't make sense. Come on, this is 2026. Um, and that's called presentism. That is where we uh, use an uncritical adherence to present day attitudes, especially the tendency to interpret past events in terms of modern day values, concepts, legal protections. So presentism is the practice of basically judging historical events, figures, and characters using the moral, ethical, and legal standards of the present day. And so we have to layer on top of this, is the story authentic? And is the story authentic to the time and to the experiences and to the people at the time and the language and the protections? And if it is, then we have to remember to not layer presentism on there. Like, wait, this really did happen, in Korea. This really did happen in the United States. These characters really felt this way. Let's not strip their authenticity and what they went through by layering on, how good or not good things are today. So that's what I mean when I say authenticity always balances presentism. Secrets affect structure. So often, like if you're reading a book and if you're a writer and you want to try this, grab a book about secrets and track the secret. Like just create a little mini outline, like when do people know? I use the WWWBTH framework, what to reveal, why to reveal it, when in the story to reveal it, by whom, who reveals it, to whom, who do they trust first, and how do they reveal it? Do they tell them? Do they leave it in a diary? Do they send it in an email? Do they tell someone else to tell them? So there's all sorts of ways to do this, but I personally like the WWBTH framework. And if you're not a writer, when you read a book, just kind of drop this on a little post-it note for yourself. Like, okay, what, why, when, who, how. It's fascinating to kind of track that. This was my W act structure for my novel on the wall of a writer retreat on the window. And basically it's how the secret gets revealed throughout the book. So we see that like we have act one, like up into act two, down into act three, and then the resolution. If any of you love to write, here are some structures that you can use. These are all different story structures. You'll see that one of the oldest ones in here is the ancient Greek structure, the three-act structure. But there are so many out there. One thing I will say is the hero's journey is also known as the heroine's journey now. And the heroine's journey is slightly different. The heroine's journey is the female character must have agency and save herself. Cannot be saved, the damsel in distress, by the other character. The heroine's journey is the heroine of the story saves herself. She can have helpers, she can have guides, but she must do it herself. So it's a little bit more empowerment going on there. Anyone have structures they love to use when they write? Curious. If you use any of these, let us know. I love Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody. That is based on screenplay structure. So it has beats. And I kind of like that because the beats are like little points that you want to hit, but then it gives you a little more freedom uh, to write from beat to beat. Yeah. Pacing, if you have a secret, one of my biggest pieces of advice is that, use some foreshadowing. Like if we find out about the secret and like, wow, I didn't see any of that coming. If that's the point, if it's a big mystery, fine. But if not, then we should have had a little hint of it. There should have been a little breadcrumb somewhere along the way, so that we kind of go, oh, now I can see it. Does anyone remember the movie, The Crying Game? I remember the movie. That was a great one. And then there's another movie. It was with Kevin Spacey. I think it was called The Usual Suspects. And it had quite a big secret at the end, Kaiser Swayze. And you're like, wait, what? But then if you stop and think about it and like reframe the whole movie in your head, then it all makes sense. Yeah. And if you have the secret revealed, like at some point, if you reveal the secret, don't rush past it. It's like you finally get to the train wreck. Don't just drive by. Show us in slow-mo how the secret is finally unraveling. Like sit with us there. Don't rush past the aftermath. Yeah. Last few things, point of view. So you can tell the secret from the secret keeper, from the person being kept from the truth, or from multiple perspectives. So all of those are wonderful ways of telling the secret. Many writers now are writing in first person. Many writers now are writing in third person, close or limited. Many writers are not writing in third person omniscient. That was a very popular way to write years ago. Think, Charles Dickens, like some of the Jane Austen. However, there's some wonderful examples now. Bonnie Garmis's fantastic book, Lessons in Chemistry, was written in third person omniscient. All of the Frederick Bachman books, he's one of my favorites. So Beartown, My Friends, Anxious People, all of his books are in third person omniscient. Anne Patchett and Celeste Ng write in third person omniscient. So it's being done now more than it used to be done, which is interesting. But of course, I'm bringing up some fantastic authors here, right? And then show and tell. So, how do people talk about secrets? What don't they say? How do they keep the secret in dialogue? What's said, what's not said? How does the knowledge of the secret change how the characters speak to each other? If you're reading a book, short story, a memoir, and you know the secret and you see a character and someone asks them a question and they don't directly answer because it would reveal the secret, you see that. You're like, aha. So sometimes uh, what's not revealed is even just as powerful as what's revealed. And then the last one is setting and symbolism. I personally love this. How a setting becomes a character, or how objects become metaphors or symbolize secrets. There's a writer named Linda Rosen, and she writes really beautiful books, women's fiction, I'd call them, and very character driven. And all of her books have an heirloom piece of jewelry. And the heirloom piece of jewelry somehow is a metaphor for the secret. And so, kind of watching people figure things out, and in writing, that's called an object correlative, where you correlate an object to some type of reader experience or some type of fact. So setting can reflect the themes of hiddenness and revelation. In my book, The Boat and Water, which is why I put a picture over here, there's depth to the ocean. We can't see the bottom. We can't see what's lurking. And so Frank Antinori has a boat and is often on the ocean. And that is a very intentional metaphor for the fact that he's a man that's closeted and hiding. So that's another cool way that we see authors bring in objects or setting to correlate with secrets. It's kind of cool. Okay, so I know we covered a lot. Any questions, thoughts, comments, epiphanies? Feel free to ask, share, comment right now. Use this time to be together. So Any other questions, comments? Any golden nuggets?
This was wonderful. I love the way that you broke it down and how you showed us through examples and through conversation. It's been really wonderful, Lisa, making me think now a little differently about the piece I'm working on. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I love that you're sort of your brain is going now and you're thinking, aha, how could I maybe do this a little differently? You might reframe what you're writing. So that's excellent. Yeah. What am I working on, Giovanna? Ooh, so I'm actually working on, it's funny, I'm not working on a book that's heavy on secrets, which is pretty ironic, right? Since my first book was all about it. I'm working on historical fiction, pure historical fiction. So my first book is dual timeline because it has the past story and then it has a contemporary story. But my next book is about a group of trailblazing women from 1950 to 1953 that break barriers in the field of law. So think Hidden Figures and Lessons in Chemistry meets The Paper Chase. Just to kind of give you, with a little bit of like, on the basis of sex thrown in there if you saw that movie. And everyone's asked me, oh, you're writing about RBG. And the answer is I'm actually not. So there were trailblazing women in the field of law before the phenomenal Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So, but I will say that these were sort of the people that even broke a glass ceiling for her, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Will there be some secrets in there? Of course, there's some secrets in there, right? But it is not a family secret book. I'd say it is going to be a historical fiction about some trailblazing woman kicking ass in history. Yeah. Someone said, "Did you always want to be a writer?" Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. Yes and no. I'd say I always have been a writer, so I'm a big fan of claiming it. Like people say, I want to be a writer. I'm like, do you write? They're like, yes. I'm like, then you're a writer. Yeah. So I was always a writer. I started journaling when I was about 8 years old. My uncle, my mother's brother, got me my first diary. It had a Norman Rockwell theme. I'll never forget it. And I read The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. And I just was just in love with the fact that there was both, and I of course didn't know these terms at the time, but there was a universality to it and a specificity. It was her specific story about a horrible time in history, and yet she was all of us. She was a teenage girl experiencing teenage things, and so we can completely relate to her, even though most of the horrors she was living through were unrelatable to so many of us. So I think at about 8 years old, I started writing. And I used to write short stories and a lot of poetry when I was a kid. So definitely started with creative writing, and then moved into lots of nonfiction writing because I'm an attorney. I don't practice anymore, but I practiced for years. So I went into legal writing, which is pretty dry. But if you're a good legal writer, you should be still telling a story to the judge, to the jury, etc. And wrote a nonfiction book on organizing and productivity, and then went back to my creative writing in 2016 or 2015 and decided to interview my father about his secret, which was no longer a secret. My father has been out and proud for decades, thank God. But I realized that I didn't really truly know his story from before I was born. So I started asking him questions. And it was so funny because he would tell me the answer, the truth. And I would say, oh, I kind of pictured it like this. And what if it happened like that? And he said, I think you want to write a novel. So that's how I switched from nonfiction to fiction. And now I have caught the fiction bug and I have so many stories I want to write. Yes, Alessandra, not only did my teachers encourage my talent, but I'm going to give a big shout out to libraries and teachers. So I had a phenomenal teacher named Joseph McLaughlin in Harrison, New York. He is in my acknowledgments in the back of my book. He's on my website, on my writer website. I have a whole blog post about him with his photo. He was very encouraging to me as a writer, but mostly as a reader. So I started as a reader. I was the kid that went to the library and joined the summer read program where you had to get like you checked off boxes. I'm showing my age. There was no digital back then. So we checked off little boxes of how much we could read over summer. And I would take out my books. And so I was very fortunate to have a wonderful public library and to have wonderful teachers who encouraged me. And I was sad that he passed away before my book came out, but we were friends on Facebook right up until he passed away and he knew I was working on it. So I like to believe that my English teacher knows it happened. Yay, Westchester! Yay, a retired teacher that made my day. As a retired teacher, I was a teacher too, Alessandra, so right near y'all, kind of. I was a teacher at the New York School for the Deaf on Knollwood Road in White Plains. I was an English teacher there during the day while I put myself through law school in the evening. I taught high school. So yes, I will always, and I have so many family members who are teachers. So yeah, I will always be grateful for the tough job that teachers have. And it's funny, someone asked me, "Do you teach writing to kids?" And I said no. And then someone said to me, "Wait, didn't you used to be a school teacher?" And I said, "Oh yeah, so I guess I did years ago, teach writing to kids, but I kind of forgot about it, you know." If you want to stay in touch with me, I have a newsletter called Prosecco and Prose. I send author updates and book recommendations because I love to read just as much as I love to write. You could connect with me on social media. I am connected to the Tuckahoe Public Library. I do some personal essays on Substack, and I'd love, love, love to hear from you. But more importantly, I kind of want to know what you're reading, what you're writing. So feel free to ask more questions. I'm open. I'm an open book, pun intended. But if not, then I will see you hopefully in the future again.
Thank you
Thank you
so much,
so
Lisa. This
much,
was
Lisa.
wonderful.
You're
So much.
so welcome. You're so welcome. You're welcome, Faith. Say hi to Connecticut for me. Yeah. Yay.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're so welcome. Oh, prego,
Have a good night.
prego. I love it. We got
Bye-bye.
the Italian in the chat. Take care, everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Happy reading and writing.
Thank